Well, welcome to Cultivating Voices Live Poetry in whatever time zone you're in. I'm your guest host, David Brydges from Cobalt, Ontario, Canada, not the 51st state. And I'm filling in for Sandy, who's attending a poetry circus in Seattle. How much fun is that, eh? And she's debuting her poem Circus Sonnet Crown. But you know what? I hope we have as much fun as she does with our own word jugglers, acrobatic articulators, um, and tightrope sentence walkers, fire-eating phrasers, and of course, some clownish wit to spice it all up. um, Welcome also to those who are watching live on Facebook Meta or the hundreds who'll be watching it later on this week. So if you've been to Cultivating Voices before, we're a live reading series and a Facebook Meta group. Our membership is international, intersectional, intergenerational with over 5,000 members worldwide. Before we get to today's reading, many thanks to our featured poets in the New Book Showcase last week, Carla Sherry, D. Allen, Dorcia Smith-Silva, and Mary Oishi, which means, I just found out, delicious in Japanese. And also links to purchase all their books remains on the Facebook Meta page. So today our live open mic will feature 12 poets reading up to 5 minutes. And we have, I believe, 4 or so on the waiting list, and we hope to get to you all today. The chat's live, so please show your post-Valentine's love buzz and share what moves you. In other words, stretch your creative calisthenics into the chat. You're welcome to put announcements for any upcoming readings or links to any of your publications if you're one of today's readers. Please keep your mics muted until you're one of the readers for the safety and enjoyment of the other listeners. And please provide, as Henry asked, a content notice of any material that one might expect could cause some distress or stress to any listeners that will have to make an informed decision about their self-care or whether they want to listen to it. Yeah, so let's get to our opening poets. Oh yeah, also grab some mental candy floss if you want, and gather near our main Zoom tech tent main stage for our opening act. Pam, let's give a round of applause for Pam Muller. And Henry Lowman is on deck.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This one that I'm going to read now is what I would have read the last time, but there wasn't time to do that. And it was to do with sight, to do with eyes, to do with seeing. And I took it literally. This is an ekphrastic poem. I don't know how to put the image on, so I'm not going to bother because it'll just take up time. I'm just not good at the techie stuff. But if you have a look at Pablo Picasso's painting, The Blind Man's Meal, it was done in what they called his blue period. So it's quite a blue, a lot of blue paint used. And this is the poem, The Blind Man's Meal. In the indigo of twilight, the blind man sings the blessing. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, who brings forth bread from the earth, who creates the fruit of the vine. He holds a chunk of bread in his palm, savors its aroma, the bouquet of wine in the jug, for which his fingers feel, careful not to spill a drop. This is the time he loves best, when he hears the nightingale's song. It is now he remembers the color of his pottery bowl, the veins of his hands, shadows under his eyes, his unseeing irises, reflecting sky on the lake water where he walked before the darkness came. Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful ending, before the darkness came. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Am I next or?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you're
Oh, okay.
next,
I thought
Stanley.
somebody would introduce me. I wasn't sure, so sorry. Okay. Trigger warning. There is some visceral imagery in what I'm about to present to you, so you have been warned. I'll give you 5 seconds. A darker side of winter. 1. The week of foreplay is over, and the oligarchs are here to claim their prize. Bend over and submit. It is your patriotic duty. Hate has been given the green light, the go-ahead. The abyss greeting me with its grinning maw, declaring empathy a sin. He ain't heavy, but he's a bother. So why bother? The cold front has moved in, the temperature falling, many left without a coat, the wind cutting like a knife, my gaze fixed on the darkness, and its laughter pounding at my very soul. 2. The echo chamber pounds its steady drumbeat to a death by 1,000 cuts, played to a smirking clown show, and disinformed delusional ears, vultures sucking the remaining marrow from bare bones scattered to chuckles and laughter from the gallery amidst thunderous applause, their drool wetting the tops of their polished shoes. Dinner is served, shouts the chef from the kitchen. Catch as catch can. The vultures move on to the next pile of bones. You are what you eat, no? Excuse me, I have something stuck in my teeth. And who the hell are you to criticize us? We are saving the dream. Get out of our way. The drumbeat continues to more chuckles and laughter. The light of the dream flickers a fog of anxiety, obscuring the horizon ahead. The oncoming storm, however, all too clear. 3. Petulant mound of quivering fecal stench, rotten flesh, drooling rictus, and shriveled orifice from which a golden shower anoints minions and followers, ushering in the new golden age, the putrefaction of the leopards, unleashed to eat the faces of the faithful. Oh, beautiful for racist skies, for amber waves of hate, for putrid mounds of selfish greed upon this shabby plain. America, America, your truth is plain to see. Orange mound of quivering naked flesh overflowing, the throne overflowing excrement, and awful flooding sacred hallways. The emperor indeed with no clothes, with the emperor's lapdog sucking at the bit, with dripping, grinning maw. Master becomes slave, slave mounts master with extended arm thrust. Behold your new king. 4. The rabbit has run and dug that hole underneath the sun. But to what end? Paws worn down, face caked with dirt, a false hope of gain, now trying to hide, but there is nowhere to go. So the rabbit is left digging that hole, digging that hole, digging that hole, with the hope that respite can be found. 5. Paradise lost, and no one seemed to notice or care. You watched the approaching storm from the comfort of your homes in 4K stereo. Its potential laid bare, yet you didn't move from the inconvenient truth that laid the groundwork for destruction. Nothing amiss in your ignorant bliss, autonomous and opaque, blitzkrieg laying waste, capturing state, the homunculus king with outstretched arm laughing loudly, the shitocracy well underway. Train keeps a rolling, keeps a rolling, keeps a roll. We don't discuss politics around here, so keep your mouth shut. I don't want to hear it. As the homunculus shitocrat reduces your meager existence to serfdom, while you welcome his golden shower for his new golden age, all arranged to benefit the shitocracy and no one else. All in the name of this fine nation that is shitting on your very well-being, on our very well-being. The stench smelled round the world amidst our new orthodoxy. The word no longer heard as the eyes on the bonfire of the sanities. The devil in the details.
Henry, I hope that wasn't one of your lighter savage satires. Next up is a frequent guest on Cultivating Voices, Mona Zamfirescu.
Thank you, David. I have two poems for today. One is based on mythology. This is what I'm currently working with in school, and I chose for this particular poem the myth of Daedalus and Icarus. However, I'm not gonna focus on Icarus, but rather on the father this time around. Daedalus. Easy to think one's free when doors are open, yet walls of every kind thread deeper in the world. Though beautiful and loved, their every stone, their gray-blue walls, the blooming garden, I did not know when I designed their tangles, the day would come when I would have to go. Their untold price, I did not know. When cracks appeared, they were fixed, and walls repainted this dark mood or other. Yet ants made tracks of tributary hunger, their suicidal march, one-minded flow towards black labyrinths of terminal resolves. Did they escape the traps? Only a few. Where they were headed, I thought I knew. Gods whisper by the day and shout by night. I hear Athena in the rustle of the olive groves. The owls hoot. Reach for the sky, they say, but know it true. For every hope that rises in the air, another one is swallowed by the sea. My son was young and still naive, but me. God spoke, though blind like ants I was. Such woe. What did she mean? How could I know? And my next poem is a little lighter. It's a sestina, the very first sestina I've ever wrote. Hopefully not my last. Again, homework. I probably wouldn't have done it if it weren't for homework. So, sestina for my son. We sing of what we do on earth, my son. The old and young will listen to the story of how the eagles settle in their flight around the mountaintops, in clear view of plains that stretch beneath the sky. No cloud can shield illusions. Sooner or later, they all die. For flowers to bloom, the seeds must die in cycles that revolve around the sun. We are all that we do and say out loud. The oak and maple strong above the understory. The fields are waking, yet their greens are plain. The circles in our lives, not always round. And what we found to be in place will turn around, like colors that may linger in the walnut dye. Our homes, our lives, our dreams are plain. Our days are growing harder in the sun. But climb we must out of misshapen stories to sing and dance and cry for joy out loud. Silver brooks that flicker in the moon too loud, deer and bluebirds with their eyes open round. Their delights and shadows will reshape the story and how we say the light will live or die. We will gather in the woods and sing the sun, how rivers turn their waters and do not explain. We hover in our flights above the high plains and still do not consider what's allowed. The linen on the clothesline sails towards the sun and spin at will in turbid winds, our wills around. We long for truth and will not simply die. We long to hear our ancient stories of elevated ground and flights of stories that tower over the senses and explain. We hear soft hints about the day we'll die and what may be or may not be allowed. I have no fear our kin will gather round. The air is fresh, with morning glory in the sun. Stories like this by our elders were always told aloud, in plain words, in low light, and in warmth, the fire round. The life of poems casts no shadows and does not die, my son. Thank you. That was long.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Mhm. Thank you, Mona, for that evocative Phil Sestina, and also the moral nobility embedded in it. Reminder. Up next is Laura Gerard. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you.
Good.
So in my household, we've been a little concerned, I shouldn't say just a little, about the federal layoffs that are happening, which may, hopefully will not affect us, but may have, it's been affecting a lot of people in our country and their friends and families. And my body's response was shingles. Many of you probably have experienced it yourselves. And so from this came this poem. And I'll put in the chat too, after I read my poem, about where you can find my work. I've written about my cancer experiences on oncolink.org. And then I have a website, poetryandtime.com. But I'll write those in the chat. But I just wanted to mention those before I read my poem. I'm just going to read one poem today. And this is new, so it's a baby poem, coming out of these experiences. And this particular poem too, I thought that I'd written this poem. In fact, I was thinking about reading today, and I thought, I'm going to read that poem that I wrote about the light, because we all need to have a little more hope. And so anyway, it'll express itself now. The poem is called Rash Writes This Poem During the Broken Night. I dream I composed this poem, even saw its form. Panic and shingles pain, I have not yet written about hope and the light. As blisters pronounced and flatten into red flames, as lightning travels across my back, I notice how gray exhaust clouds the lit neuron trees that gasp. How anger flares then passes, grief over betrayal from nebulous patches of activated virus. I have no control. Oh, my home, my country, all I can do is scream and release you into light, into light, into light, where the dark recesses rise to match, become so bright in the blast, where pain intensifies so that it curbs itself, maximum velocity, falling but floating, no more yells from the initial dive. It is so radiant, we quiet, still all aghast, step back, and realize there is nothing more powerful. This light, this light, this light penetrates, cleanses the worried cells, our dread, exposes none of us identified as this or that. This light, oh my God, take our hands. We surrender, we fight, we abide in this light. Thank you.
Laura, lightning traveled across my back too. I've had shingles and I could feel it twitching. So your poem,
sorry about that.
well, yeah, your poem hit 1 in 3 apparently get it. Your poem hit the spot for me, anyways. Eelke Lampe is up next, and from the lovely West Coast, I believe.
Yes, from near Port Angeles, Washington. Thank you, David and everybody. I'm going to share 2 poems today. The first one I wrote the day after President's Day in 2017. And then later it got published in the 26th Annual Poetry and Anthology with Moonstone. Have we lost? We lost our tail, our rudder, but we can trust their energy and support still being here, both bridge and pyramid to Mother Earth. We lost our wings, but we may trust their force and grace still carrying us, both web and swing towards farther sky. Have we lost our heart? We must recover its compassion and care, seeding deep inside of us, thrusting open both window and veil, allowing all to carry and lift those around us. The second one is very raw, something I wrote over the course of the past week. And I realized the connection between the parts and now call it Trilogy of Hope. When I witness him walking through the deep snow to place a bird feeder into the tall fir tree, and when I see him smile at the deer appearing from the woods, and when he dips his pinky into the cereal milk to offer the little drop to our eagerly awaiting kitty, I feel hope again for gentleness to prevail. Our full moon shining fierce with hope and friendliness. How can we fight the evil spreading across the country cloaked in the guise of fiscal responsibility? My grandma heard something from a neighbor telling my grandpa in the middle of the night. Shh, he said. We can't say anything. It's too dangerous. That was 80 years ago. My other grandpa might have been a mini Schindler, party line during the day, but after midnight, he went to help his Jewish customers to expertly pack their family porcelain so they could cross the border with some precious heirloom into the unknowns of promised safety. Palestinians have nothing left to pack. All they want is staying on their homeland and rebuild against all odds. Let the people be. There's that familiar pulling again, the one that came every 4 weeks or so for most of my life. Now it only resurfaces when something new is being born inside of me. A new layer of self, wanting to, needing to manifest itself in the world. Red, white, and green. Yes, green for hope. Green for rebirth. Green for courage. Hope for change, rebirth of compassion, courage for action, from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Eelke. We have not lost our compassion from those trying to steal it, the violators of truth. And up next is Peter Rowe.
Hello.
Hey, Peter. Where are you from? Where you come from?
I'm from the UK, so I'm going to do some slightly satirical poems, but I don't really know if they're satire anymore or if they're real. It's very hard to tell. And I'll finish with something a bit more light-hearted. So this is called Today Apple closed their Genius bars and recalled all their geeks who were working at retail units in territories governed by Coca-Cola. This follows the surprising events witnessed yesterday when Microsoft evangelists were withdrawn from all Pepsi-controlled states. This tit-for-tat diplomacy set share prices soaring when the trading floors opened for business. The military-industrial complex, as always, has remained silent. No statement has been issued, but it is poised to capitalize on this volatile market. In other news, the last holdouts of the civil service have been pushed back beyond the demarcation zone, where they will no doubt be annexed, catalogued, re-educated, then shipped to Colony X. This one's called A Blackbird Sings in Canary Wharf. A blackbird sings in Canary Wharf, a vast hall of mirrors, bouncing reflections of sunlight from the darkened windows of global corporations suckling on the fibre optics of a technological society. A blackbird sings in Canary Wharf among advertising hoardings that celebrate life-changing coffee and urban greens. A nearby development declares a lush garden on every 17 floors, but the astroturf around the koi ponds gives no succor to Gaia's children. A blackbird sings in Canary Wharf while a homeless man, head shrouded with a blanket to shut out the daylight, sleeps on in determined isolation. Tourists and commuters flow around this island of humanity, and small change rattles into an empty coffee cup for this objector to the modern world, oblivious to selfie-snapping TikTokers and vloggers who count views on social media while he counts pennies to sustain life. A blackbird sings in Canary Wharf, declaring, "I am still here. My life is relevant." A blackbird sings in Canary Wharf. A blackbird sings in Canary Wharf. This one's called Altered States. Stock markets, dragon's nests where corporations squat, accumulating wealth, bloated tech giants investing in a dopamine economy that feeds on our history of purchasing choices and personal data. States of surveillance where algorithms and advertising models use manipulative mind control to deliver unlimited pleasure with no satisfaction. A theology of capitalism, digital totalitarianism, where dragons bow to political leaders who use separation sociology to divide opinion. Distraction with promises of artificial intelligence, increased productivity, freedom from mundanity, transformation of society. A future dominated by superior intelligences, controlled by billionaires who still get richer while the poor get poorer. And I'll finish on this very short one. The world's gone digital, but my mum's still analog. We've entered a new age of digital information that demands our time and unlimited interaction. Our smartphones, with all their chirping and squawking, have us clicking and ticking and tweeting and talking, and our personal information, our words and our thoughts, are sent through technology as ones and as noughts. And our social calendar is not defined anymore by an impromptu, but analog knock on the door. The world may have gone and caught the digital bug, but my arms are still analog, and my mum needs a hug. Thank you.
Peter, we all need a hug, but yeah, we'll give one to your mom first.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad your satirical sword isn't dull these days.
It's got plenty to work with, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Up next is Jennifer Browne, and where's Jennifer Browne from?
So I am from Frostburg, Maryland, where we currently are under a blizzard warning, but we're out in the western part of Maryland. This is just a prose serial, and it opens with an epigraph. So it is called On the Difficulty of Saying Burdock. And the epigraph is, the most important thing is the thing most easily forgotten, which is one of the oblique strategies from Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt. 1. I say my waiting has become a burr, mean the snag of bracts lodged against skin made tender. Later, I think an idea is a seed, an idea. A history of wrong words, I meant burr. A burr's hooks become proliferation. This is second part is a etymology of burr, 2 R's. Burr, rough sound of the letter R, 1760, later extended to Northern accentuated speech in general. Possibly the sound of the word is imitative of the speech peculiarity itself, or it was adapted from one of the senses of burr, perhaps from the phrase to have a burr in one's throat, late 14th century, which was a figure of speech for feel a choking sensation. 3. I have feelings I can't name, can't bring myself to name. 4. Think of breath against the surface of your skin. Whose lungs warm the breathing air? When you turn to meet their face, what is it you say? 5. I cough to cast the bracts. Rough sound of the letter R becomes a metal rasp. Burr becomes rough edge on metal, scraping edge of the words catch. A rasp in the voice scratches at the throat. It's work to name it, to ask. 6. The words are reversible, interchangeable. There is so little I know, even when everything seems to be saying the same thing. Burr, burr, one breath breathes against another, another's breath. There is speech. Where does all the breath go? 7. When other layers scrape away, the seed remains. It's fear that chokes the throat. 8. Burdock, also called Bardane. I think of songs caught in the mind, brought forward on breath, carrying the wind. I'm singing every song you've named as one that I should hear. 9. Imagine burdock bracts snagging woolen stockings, colonizing. I think I've picked them all apart, discarded. Days later, they appear again on the same hem. By 1633, burdock was so widespread in the US that a botanist mistakenly referred to it as a native species. 10. Speech therapy sessions spent sitting in a tiny chair, padded headphones sliding over ears, remains a chimera in the room of my mouth. 11. I only sometimes know the sound of what I say. Sometimes a catch, a stutter stops one word and makes another. 12. Burdock, also called love leaves, coarse-fleshed, turn over a leaf and feel its fur, heart-shaped bandages for burns, for broken skin. That healing doesn't come without the seeds, without the seed pods, without the scratch of bract. That healing doesn't come without the wound. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for that history lesson. I can unburden myself from checking Wikipedia. Up next is Catherine Ronan, and her breath will give it away. Where's she from?
Well, don't judge me by the accent. I'm ringing from,
Her singing breath.
I'm ringing in from a cloudy and rainy West Cork in Ireland. I'm going to read a poem from my book, Elemental Skin. And as Valentine's Day was Friday, I'm going to read a love poem of sorts. Jailbird. You permit me to walk your ramparts, but I want to descend to your old town, crawl with womanhood all over your cobbled streets, lick your walls. Time to wander into that vintage shop, inhale your perfume of memory, dab scent on my pulsing wrists, finger the silk scarves of your fragrant past. I sip brandy in walnut-walled bars, interrogate the ghosts of your half-loves, slink down alleys with stray cats you own, touch a hair on every quivering tail. I kneel in your medieval cathedral, light every single waxed candle, take the keys from your belt, unlock the groaning gates, let my jail rush in. I am Jailbird.
This has nothing to do with that great poem, but I love that mystic light above your head. It's almost like that your light bulb in your room is turned off, and there's some other light that's glowing around you. Our next reader is Joanne James, and I'm so glad that she has many friends in Canada.
Hi. Yeah, we have to be friends. There's a lot of everybody's been reading. Really, everything feels so alive, and I'm glad that we're all here. And thanks, David, for your help, time. I'm supposed to be invisible now because I'm a lesbian, and we just were sealed off for any rights, supposedly, going back to when I came out in the 70s. But I'm going to read a poem called Verge of Desire. Rumors she'd been knifed on the Lower West Side. I never knew what to believe. But nothing held me back. My tragic flaw is I have always been gullible. Do you know this desire? It's like leaning into everything. It's everything at once. It wants this moment to press in on all sides and never end. I was meeting her for lunch. The first week we were lovers. We worked just a block apart, and I drove to Dave Ball's Chevy, where she was a service manager. Shifting out of one desire into another didn't break, but bumped the plate glass window of the car dealership. Everything didn't come crashing down on me like I thought it would. I tried to play it cool when she came out laughing and told me she'd take the wheel of my '80 Ford Granada I bought when I left my husband. What someone had called a grandpa car. Why did you buy a grandpa car? But we loved the roomy back seats, the V8 engine. We needed to go places fast in an avalanche of desire. When I'm with her, I can barely speak. Words verge from my tongue for her ear only. I tried listening to her with my eyes closed and saw the future dripping a sheen over everything, a meteor shower, shooting lights. There's glue between us, not tyranny. Reach and rumble, thunder, jelly, billions of meteors pulsing. When we went up the hill in the dark, that first night in February. You know, it's 40 years ago, February 23rd. So thank you. I'm just going to read one.
Joanne, I love your T-shirt. I wish I could see more of it. Oh, good. Thank you. Remember, the violators of history have no stamina. Now, I'd like to introduce Brenda Asterino.
Perfect pronunciation. Thank you.
Did I get it right? Oh, okay, thanks.
So I am rejoicing in the woman who refused to be fired because her firing was illegal, and she is making her voice heard. What glory the nature of woman, lichen shadowing, accentuating, as green multiplies on dull gray bark and skipping across to the tops of the cliffs of the carved expansion, changing size and shape with growth and age, always giving, providing food or shelter for other life. Women, like those trees that never stop changing, are always expanding, renewing in different ways. The ultimate betrayal of ego is to give over to life. As with raw clay, the potential is the ultimate goal, and maybe why the feminine was worshipped so long ago. Without submitting to life, there is only a death inside the skin, building walls within and without our lives, and in regard to our influence in the lives of others. Women are the juxtaposition, that flexibility of change, of hard and soft, sweet and salty, give and take. What glory to be born a woman. Trigger alert. It's interesting to me as institutions are being and agencies are being shut down, and not all the victimization that can occur from that has been told. So this is about sex trafficking. Okay, child trafficking. She cries, she dies, a little more each day, a little more each time the man touches her that way, and some hope chokes. He runs, he fights. As young as 7 fair, his toys are left behind, forced beyond what he can bear with loss of mind. They buy, they sell, while owning all they can, and owning people too as part of the power plan, 'cause no one tells. She's old and bold. She speaks to what she sees. Ears choosing not to hear. Bullies knock her to her knees. Who counts the tears? He smiles, he speaks, he's learned to act the part. Still, somewhere he lost his heart. The pain is bad. It runs from mind to soul, swaddles in her core. Spirit reaches to be whole. There is no protection, no justice can be seen. And upon reflection, why can't we hear the screams? I'm not good with time. So I'll just read one more. Some of my poems are more like prayers. So I'm in my 70s and I'm thinking, you know, this is the world I'm leaving to my children and my grandchildren. And so this is a poem prayer. Hold my loved ones. Please hold my loved ones when I cannot. Please comfort their furrowed minds. If all seems lost, if they are alone where there is no respite, please hold my loved ones when they have troubles. Please relieve their trembling limbs if they cannot stand what is truth and justice is gone. Please hold my loved ones if they're abandoned. Please kiss the pain from their souls. If they see not kindness from others, nor see your countenance, please hold my loved ones. Amen. That's from my
Brenda, thank you for the emotional depth in your poems. We could really feel it. It's really great that you and the other poets today are writing poems about the contemporary issues of our chaotic times and fighting back against the no government predators that are in power.
Thank you.
And I have a suspicion that Harvey Soss may have something to say about that too. Hi, Harvey, from
Hi.
New York City?
Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Home of culture. I have two poems, and I also posted an invitation to next Sunday's Artful Dodgers poetry reading in the chat. First one, to rectify a wrong, is called Whistler's Father, an equal opportunity poem circa the late 1870s. Mother's boy portraitist, rewarding a love so Oedipal it's sick, couldn't you have spared a square of canvas and some tubes of paint to fix for us today's absence of your old man? Surely you had a rainbow of colors left to wrap around his shoulders like a shawl after employing so few to portray the woman who bore you. Anna McNeil Whistler, seated in her rocking chair in faded black and gray, a stargazer staring off into space. Who wouldn't have given birth to you, as much her favorite as she was yours, had she not given G.W. Whistler, husband and lord, the key to her birth canal, which from the ancient look of her might have been as dangerous to open as Pandora's box. Some son you are, James Abbott McNeil Whistler, ignoring your father's spermatogenesis and financial contributions to your arrangements in Paris. Who paid for your liaisons, your models, easels, and oil paints, if not your father? Railroad engineer for the Tsar, supporting your escapades by spinning rails into gold. escapee who chose to work as far away from mother as the tracks would take him, canoodling with Mother Russia rather than rock a drab wife portrayed in mourning dress, having come to view her as perhaps the worst decision he had ever made in his life, his offstage Lady Macbeth, having washed her hands of him, barred him from her bed, preferring Siberian work days to her cold embrace, clinging to fatherly pride instead, hushing criticism that his son's failure to have memorialized him was the very picture of filial disgrace. With fin de siècle hiding out of sight, there's still time for you to make things right, to rehitch ton père to ta mère on a museum wall. What the French might call a rapprochement. Only ditch the rocker, please, and paint him standing tall with a splash of Irish whiskey coloring his cheeks. And the second one is what you might have been referring to, one of the war criminals of the day. It's called War Criminal. Epigraph. The International Criminal Court is not designed to act swiftly. It took the ICC what seemed a lifetime, his and ours, to bring the charges. An eternity of Merlin-esque spellcasting to find him guilty. A gotcha moment. Photographs of Kherson, Kharkiv, Bucha bearing witness to what the dead could not. Maggoty skulls in sealed evidence bags, numbered exhibits of casual barbarism represent non-combatant Ukrainians beheaded where they stood. Poor Yoriks all, unable to speak in their own defense. Someone has to speak for them and for the children abducted from their beds or caught standing over their murdered parents, claimed to have been repatriated. A cunning sort of genocide by child theft not even Hitler stooped to. The accused pounding ham-hock fists against the bars of his cell for emphasis, offering to pinky swear, crossing his heartlessness. He knew nothing of what his troops had done. The Hague was littered with exhibits to the contrary. Reporters, summing it up, put it thusly: he doesn't look so tough now, does he? Sweat glistening on his balding head, judoka rattling his chains like some ghost of empire past, with no judo move to free him from truth's stranglehold. A thumbs down after appearing simultaneously on Interpol's most wanted history's least wanted lists, an achievement duly chronicled by Guinness. Every so often, when ruling on procedural delays, a shiver was observed to have passed through a triumvirate of judges, an ad hoc group of fates, perhaps a wave of realization that what had occurred didn't reek of Arendt's banality, certainly not to those survivors and their descendants camped on the courthouse steps. A verdict so delayed that some veteran court watchers, older now by decades, had to be reminded of why they had come. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey, for that reminder, that war criminal reminder, and your president meeting with the leader of this barbaric war, and it's one criminal to another.
It is that, and poor Ukraine.
And we're going to finish off our main feature readers today with Linette Rabsatt, and we also have a few waiting list readers that we're going to get to too. So welcome, Linette, from where is Linette?
Hi, David. I'm from the Virgin Islands.
The Frozen Islands?
No, the Virgin Islands. Definitely not frozen. We have sunlight happening right now, maybe about 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, you're not near Canada then. Okay.
No, definitely not.
I have frozen in my brain for like 6 months. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, so my two poems, the first one is called The Panther Within. I actually wrote this today based on a prompt that was shared in one of the poetry groups. They try to silence the panther within because I'm a queen, not a king. They throw glamour and beauty at my feet as if I am naivety personified, a time-tested tactic. But little did they know that's tacit. I've learned and I've grown to understand what and who they've cloned, so jewels and fame won't impress. God already made us all as the very best. And I know who I need to worship and how to stay away from gossip. Because this panther that's deep within came here to play the game and win. I came here to showcase my ancestors' legacy. My clear intention is to make history. So know that this queen will roar and pour because she knows who she is. She is her. And once she stays on God's righteous path, the panther will speak through her words and art. So that's the first piece. And then the second piece is all about love, because, we just had For Who Celebrates Valentine's Day. So this is a very old piece from my archives called Honey Bee. Written in hues of blue and submerged in sweet perfume, once repressed, now expressed, she taunts his heart with words taming, yet flaming, and sweetened like raw honey. May he not resist the gist, since she's unveiled her intentions with romantic hints in print. She wishes for his approval and searches to comprise a surprise that would uproot his stance and make him chance a glance towards her ray of light and start a reflection and connection that results in endless love. Thank you.
Linette, you're getting some endless love, I think, in the chat and online. You're right. We need more queens than kings because the kings are screwing it up right now. Thanks for bringing out the feminist in me. So we're into the not so waiting list because we're right here. And up next is Ken Burch.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. This is one of those center form cycle pieces I've been doing. It's on the general idea of mystery and resilience. Sometimes I write these to try to persuade myself of these things. What cannot be said in this endless, chilling fog is quite nearly all. Is quite nearly all, as some would erase each word, each day not yet here, each day not yet here, every wish for what could be, all just short of form, all just short of form, any dream in any heart of life minus pain, of life minus pain. Any way we might at last find on now healed legs every dance long held within all our binding scars, ancient, new, or still to form in these scabrous days. Those who would erase know well, even as they taunt, gray strut flex spittle at us, know their days are few. Such a thing, how could I say? When all seems near lost, when their hobnail certainty crashes towards us all, all its beef-fed greasy force nearly here to crush, yet stopped by the will to say when the last seems near, while one heart somewhere still beats, hope cannot be killed. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'll second that. Hope never can be killed. It's part of our DNA in desperate times. all our binding scars. I really like that line, and I really enjoy listening to you, Ken, because you intricately construct your poems, and they have a very different rhythm and flow. It's great.
Thank you.
Now we're going to kick things back to David Beckom.
Hello, David. How are you, buddy? I'm going to stick with a little bit. I'm reading from Ireland, Cork City, Ireland. I'm going to deal with not love, because we talked about Valentine's Day. You know, I like language, and I look at the essence of language, and your lover is not one that you love. Your wife is not your lover. Your husband's not your lover, because those people you love. Your lover you're infatuated with, your passion for, you like, but if you're lucky, there's lust. So this would be a poem of lust, I guess. And it's called, I'm going to turn off my camera because I'm looking this way, it looks funny. So if you don't mind, and it's called Last Night. As the hot water from the shower cascades over my shoulders like boulders in a stream, creating a waterfall down my chest to my loins below. Slowly, I begin to grow, dazed, almost hypnotized. My thoughts are those of lust, of last night, a night that will last for the rest of my life. When I was inside of you, it was more than just a dream come true. For when you wake, a dream is gone, but a memory lives on and on and on. I don't ask why you did share a gift so precious and so rare. You and I both know the truth. Last night was destined at first sight. Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you, David, and thank you for remembering that memory poem. That was great.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And Judith Montgomery is next, and Judith is coming from
Oregon City, just outside of Portland.
Okay.
Western Portland.
Is it raining there today?
Yeah, well, the snow is finally melting away. I was supposed to have surgery last Thursday, and it was canceled because of the snow and rain. So I still have my hand not yet fixed. I'm going to read a newer poem. My husband was diagnosed 20 years ago with a rare cancer and given perhaps a year to live. And with some medical intervention and a lot of TLC, he lasted until last June. So this poem is for him. Vigil. When it is time for them to lift your failing body, to rest in that dread hospital bed, I want for you more than the landscape of the TV screen, which in fact you are not going to watch again. Instead, just outside the window, near your head, I shove the shepherd's crook deep into dark earth. Hang the feeder, its clear cylinder filled with Niger, thistle, sunflower seeds, between the ginkgo tree and the blue hydrangea, so you can follow the buttery goldfinches, bright with life, all rush and flutter, eager for the feast. Then I step back into the slow house. I turn you to see my gift of a wild winged view. You break into a smile. Of course, you know birds, your other delight. We both know, but do not speak of how they will keep feeding and living, how quickly they will interrupt any flurry to seek cover in the tree when the shadow of the sharp-shinned hawk passes overhead. 2 days pass. You stop looking. The hawk comes for you. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, beautiful. Judith, did your husband happen to see the ginkgo tree in the fall, in the autumn?
Oh, yeah, it's right outside our window. It turns this most amazing gold, and then all the leaves just shimmer right off.
I just love that time when the golden ginkgo leaves fall. Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. Okay. And our next reader is no stranger to Cultivating Voices, and a friend to all, and an amazing peacemaker in times of war in his country. And he remains so, his spirit remains so incredibly resilient and optimistic. Let's all welcome Isaac Cohen from Israel, right?
Yes, dear David, dear Don, dear Kim, dear all my friends in the world. Isaac Cohen. Hope. I heard a voice of woe. I gave the baby a pot of flower of על יד אנשים, למה אתה עושה בעיות? Sorry. Again. I heard a voice of woe. I gave the baby a pot of flowers of hope. His tears made the flowers grow and covered the road. The peace comes. Thank you, Isaac Cohen, Israel.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. A pot of flower covering the earth. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, David.
Yeah. And we're all watering it in our own way. Ron Bremner is up. And hi, Ron.
I think he may have left. I could be wrong.
Okay, we'll move on, and then if he comes back, we'll tack him in at the end. Brian Burns, and Brian is coming from.
Yeah, I'm coming from Orangeville, Ontario. Can you hear me?
Another Canadian. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's a little bit snowy up here today, so I thought I would share something that I wrote that kind of makes me think of spring and summer. This is called Dream and Pray. It's all we ever did, from canoe or skiff, sitting on tea-stained lakes or standing on emerald banks. Each line cast, a well-rehearsed prayer. Every lure chosen, a charm devoted to luck alone. The silver ghosts gliding just under surface offered majestic, taunting leaps to ridicule tawdry effort. They demand sacrifices, always those of comfort first, whether boat back or bug bites aplenty. Endured early morning May chill, the furnace of July afternoon, April's unheralded snows, November's cold pelting rain. Even then you would fail, with every raised hope offered by submerged stick or cursed at stump or stone. Every lost baited hook, each shiny bauble break off, lamented but necessary, the reluctant ritual of sacrifice. Prayers offered up to St. Croix, have the dream of Leviathan realized, the line hold strong and sound, the stallion kept confined to stable. Heart pounds as ghost manifests, the line tightens to taut, hard-pitched struggle, feeling gratitude as you were landed, then quickly measured, this mighty minnow, soon to be savage great white, depending on who relates the tale, gently lowered from boat, off bank or pebbled shore, happy to give piscatorial prisoner an early release. Thank you.
Wow. Great fish story, Brian. Yeah, my friend was out ice fishing yesterday and he caught a few little ones. Susan Abbott.
Hello.
Hello, Susan. From?
I'm greetings from Joshua Tree, and I'm very excited that I squeaked in to read a little poem today. I've given into the kind of a pitiful feeling for a bit, and this poem just reflects that. I've also been working with the idea of enjambment, which in poetry is when a line may end for the purpose of rhyming, but continues the thought. And you'll see what I mean. And also moving through a moment of pitiful, this poem made me laugh. So it had its healing opportunity too. It's called Puddle. Sometimes I say I feel like a puddle. The world lost its sail, I in a muddle. And while lost in the mire, I wonder what'll be next. I stand in the doorway and dawdle. The lies to confuse, the truth to befuddle, where chaos ensues, no telling what'll sink my woes in the drift of a bottle, the grief of my soul wept in a puddle. Feeling beat up like a punch in the guttle, up comes the nausea, things way less subtle. No kiss to my lips, nobody to cuddle, alone with my thoughts. I pray that God'll show me a way to free and unhobble gnarled feet and joints. The arthritic gobble, eats at the body, makes the legs wobble. Loosely I dissolve into my puddle, collapse in the peace I find in the middle. Into this womb, so swallowed I swaddle, gather myself as a team in its huddle. Make a new plan for freedom's rebuttal to all the chains, the Oval Office nuddle, bully his way to lock up a free people. This MAGA raid, a mission we scuttle. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for that excellent rhyming poem. It was good. Rachel Stanley is next. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. I'm going to read this poem called February Morning, since it's February. At first, you took me by surprise, mimosa tree. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you pull me like a magnet across the chilly February street to stand in wonder before I captured you on camera, so that in days to come, a shaft of memory would bring me back once more to the great surprise of you, with your vivid yellow flowers and soothing green leaves, lighting up the morning and enhancing the granite grey wall beneath an expansive azure cloak, a riot rich in colour, fulfilling the promise of spring. And this next one is called St. Brydges Cross. She's one of our patron saints, but they just only in the last year or so, they've actually felt we should give more attention to her. And so they gave us a bank holiday for St. Brydges Day, which is the 1st of February. They will tell the story of how I came to your sweat-soaked bed of delirium, how I picked the rushes off the floor of your cabin and wove together a symbol of eternal love, its vertical and horizontal arms stretching up towards the heavens and down to earth, across the world from east to west, this flame of transcendent love that could never be extinguished. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for a reminder. Love can never be extinguished. That's really great. And next up, we have Clive Oseman. Hi, Clive.
Hello.
Hi,
Yeah,
Clive.
Oseman, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm calling from the UK.
A little bit of an accent, Clive.
Yeah, it's a Birmingham accent. I'm from Birmingham in England.
Okay, good.
Okay, so most people who know me, and there's a few here who do, know that I nearly always do comedy stuff. Tonight, I'm not, because I'm going to do something that I wrote a couple of years ago, and although generally well received, there were one or two people who thought it was a little bit over the top. And I think you might see now why I think they were wrong. And the first bit of the poem is actually part of the poem, so ignore what I'm saying. Well, don't ignore me, listen to me, but you know what I mean. Okay, so this is called Democracy. Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Do you know me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, it's part of the poem. Can you hear me? Do you know me? I am democracy. I'm tolerance. I'm decency. Surely it's not hard for you to see what's happening to me. I'm old. I'm sick. And bit by bit, I'm dying. I'm fighting to hold on, but without your help, I'll soon be gone. I cannot do this thing alone. You are the doctors and the nurses. Can't you see that? If left untreated, the sickness can't be defeated. Words are not enough. Your words are therapy, but your actions are medicine. Therapy alone is not enough. My mind cannot be cured if my body is already dead. I still have so much to offer. This is not the right time. I need you to save me. I'm weakening so quickly, so terribly. Actions, not words. Medicine, not therapy. Don't let me die. Bring me back to the light. The darkness is descending. I'm scared. Not for myself, but for what I leave behind. Don't let me go. I beg you to save me. Give me medicine. It's still within your power. I beg you. Do something! If you all work together, you can save me. Enough is enough. Please, please. You have one last chance. Use it! Thank you. Bit different for me, but there you go.
Well, I'm going to say poetic medicine is one way to heal democracy. I believe Nayma Chamchoun, did I get that right? I believe she's from England too, eh?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Surfing the seasons. When spring first welcomed me into her lush fields, I heedlessly ran, making fanciful wishes on dandelions, buoyed by whispers of wildflower repartee. The world's edge, eternal in the horizon, recklessly tumbling into her wilds, playmates with dawn's daring child, under the watchful eye of the stirring sun. When summer arrived in her carnival colors, under her invigorating rays, I flourished, presenting a palette of hues, raw-kissed, revved buzzing, trailing the scent of honeyed nectar. How the trees received me with pomp and ceremony, their branches lined with emerald flags, the breezy babble, bravado brags, feckless and solar charged for a date with destiny. Then came autumn, and the leaves blew away, transitioning colors faded into subdued browns, burnt breaths of smoldering compost mounds, yearning for the kinder months of yesterday, cradling the warmth of tea and coffee mugs, an onslaught of gales, exhaling bluster, driving day into night as light scatters. Once I met peaks with shrugs instead of hugs. Winter wickedly looms, a grey chill, bringing dread. The orange blossom despises the cold. The frost bites at her roots and takes hold. An assault of hail and snow that bites and shreds. The clock never goes back more than an hour. The seasons ephemeral, and we immortal. Winters freeze, static, and we fallibly mortal. In heavy darkness, light still flowers. Thank you.
Nayma, when you read, I feel like I'm in a theater in the West End. I think you should do a one-woman show. You've got the presence, and it's always nice to hear you read. One last call for Ron Bremner. Going once, going twice. I guess Ron is gone. Dookie. So that concludes our wild card open mic. It's been fabulous reading, and let's unmute ourselves and share some love with all the readers today. It's been a oh, fantastic. Really good reading. And you can watch the recording on Facebook Meta if you want later. And Sandy's given me some news to read about upcoming events. We close out our February with reading for friends of Sandy Yannen's The Glass Studio to celebrate the book's one-year anniversary with guest readers Liz All, Alison Arth, Ansley Clark, Kate Flaherty, Sarah Gambrel, Gustavo Hernandez, Anya Kirschbaum, Don Kruger, Victoria Larkin, Janet McFadden, and Dor Cipher. These are folks who blurbed book or read at West and East Coast launches. And looking ahead to March 5th, our anniversary month, we open on March 2nd with our Poets Focus on Body, with editor Alison Blevins of Harbor Publishing out of Minneapolis with her new book, and the editors and poets of the anthology Braving the Body, published by Alison and Harbor Publishing. And there will be a limited open mic to follow. March 9th, after International Women's Day, there's a new book showcase with Kate O'Neill McCulloch, Kashima Singh, Megha Sood, and Alison Prine. There'll be no reading on March 16th, so we can get ready for our special 5th anniversary celebration on Sunday, March 23rd. Pencil that in your calendars. And Sandy will be back next week for her special event. But thank you to all the open mic poets for adding your vital voices in these necessary times, and creating a world poetry community, and our always attentively appreciative audience. I know that's a mouthful of alliterations, but that's really what it is. And thanks again for those watching on Facebook Live today or later. And this is a team effort, and I want to thank Kim and Dawn for the roles in making this event a success, not only today, but every day we have these events. And of course, Sandy for her endearing role. In these times, we are not just poets. We are witnesses to the lost light, and several poets have alluded to that in the poems today. But the light of poetry is everywhere, and any manufactured darkness cannot extinguish it. We are here to help heal the broken light. And in closing, Viola Desmond was a Canadian civil and women's rights activist and businesswoman of Black Nova Scotian descent. She was our Rosa Parks, who was the mother of the civil rights movement in America. She was also the first woman to be on a Canadian banknote. This is her right there. It was done in 2018 to honor her contributions. And let's heed her wisdom. She says, do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good that overwhelm the world. So have a good day, a good night, and have a good week of overwhelming your world with goodness. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.